Good evening. Welcome to the Smyrna Municipal Planning Commission meeting for November 3rd, 2022. I will call the meeting to order now, and Mike Allen will lead us in prayer and Amy Wise in the pledge. If you'd all stand, please.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for this day. What a beautiful day you've given us. Father God, we just ask that you watch over us as we go about the town's business. Father, just as a commission, watch over us, do the right thing, be responsible for our town. Father, we love you and we thank you for the blessings that you bestow upon us each day. Father God, just continue to watch over our first responders, firefighters, our policemen. Father God, just continue to lead us in the direction you have us to go. In Christ's name, amen.
Please face the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike and Amy. Citizens' comments.
None tonight.
Approval of the minutes will be our next agenda item, and this is the minutes for the October 6, 2022 meeting. Counselor, the meeting, are the minutes of the meeting in order?
In order as to form, Chairman.
All right. Commission, if we've had a chance to review, are there any questions? And if hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Prior to getting into new business, Kevin, it's my understanding there's been a request to add an item to the agenda.
That's correct.
Could you just,
Yeah, it's it's a site plan that was approved in March of last year, and they have requested it for an amended site plan approval regarding the materials on the building that they are currently constructing and nearing completion of construction on.
okay,
So they've asked for that.
okay. Jeff, would this require a vote to determine whether or not we want to add this back to the agenda and
I
consider
think
it?
that would be proper to add to the agenda.
Okay. And I'm thinking the proper place may be site plans maybe before item 6, the bond review. Would that, or would you recommend any other?
That would be fine. And just
Okay.
for just so it's Aeroplex Lot 3 is the site plan.
Okay.
It's been requested. It's on Swan Drive.
Okay, any questions from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we add that item to our site plans, so it'll be addition of number 5.
Okay, I have a motion to add this item back to our agenda under site plans. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this item will be added back to the agenda, or added to the agenda. Okay, with that in order now, let's go ahead and move on to new business. Our first item is annexation zoning and plan of service request, Paul Leibovitz, Bradley Road at Rocky Fork Elmville Road, annexation and PRD zoning.
Yeah, this is an annexation and zoning request. It's for, it's 3 tracts of land, 3 parcels of land that totaled right at an acre, or just under an acre of property. It's currently zoned RM in Rutherford County and requested to be annexed into the town and zoned PRD. Surrounding zoning is PRD in town, which is the Derby Run and Cedar Hills PRDs, and then RM in Rutherford County. The land use plan will support a medium-density, single-family residential development in this area. The major thoroughfare plan does designate Rocky Fork Elmville Road as a minor arterial street, and adequate right-of-way would be required to be dedicated as a part of any development of this property, and they are showing that as a part of their concept plans with this PRD. This requested PRD is for 5 single-family lots. The minimum fire flow here would be 1,000 gallons per minute at 20 psi. As a part of this, if the Planning Commission chooses to recommend this, staff did recommend the annexation of approximately 300 linear feet the existing right-of-way of Briley Road as a part of this annexation. Sewer will have to be extended from Derby Run, and the developer has requested, they are showing 35-foot front setbacks on all 5 lots. However, the corner lot, which would have frontage on Rocky Fork Allenville Road and Briley Road, they did request a 25-foot setback along Briley Road due to that curve. There's a curve in the road. The access to the lot would be from Briley Road. That was one of staff's recommendations. The layout does show, because even though it's showing a 25-foot setback, the rear entry garage on that lot, and because of the rear entry garage, even though it's only a 25-foot front setback, the way with the curve of the road, there is adequate stacking room to get 4 cars. Staff would recommend that the driveway be wider. Part of the driveway, it does kind of narrow, it's not 20-foot wide the entire length, so we would recommend that be done. But with that, once that is done, there would be adequate room there with the way it's laid out to park 4 vehicles on the site. We had a few comments. Some of these did come from consolidated utility districts, so we can't eliminate all of them, but several of them we can be removed. They have shown the proposed sewer main extension now, so that can be removed, which is number 9. Their original plans, they had Town of Smyrna as the water provider, and it is CUD here, so that has been corrected. Number 10 there. They've renumbered the lots, so number 11 can be removed. They are showing the easements and the sewer service as well, so we can remove 12 and 13. And then number 14 as well. And again, the comments 15 on down are all from consolidated utility districts, so I'll let them address those. But the plan does show third-party HOA for maintenance of the open space. It's a small development, so there's not a lot of amenities or anything like that proposed. The open space is essentially just their stormwater detention area and that sort of thing. And again, they do show, as a part of their plan, they do have the proposed houses and what they're proposing to build there. 1,900 square foot minimum on this house size. There's representation here on the project if you have any questions. I believe that's all that I have at this time.
Kevin, just a couple questions for you real quick. When we talked about the driveway, the rear driveway, I believe that was on the lot on Briley. Is the garage actually setback 35 feet versus the home, or is it 25 plus widening the driveway?
Well, it's 25, excuse me, 25 to the corner of the house. It's kind of the rear corner of the house, and so the garage it actually would be further. I mean, you have about a 24-foot depth to the rear part on the driveway there, and then it turns and you got an additional 25 feet out to the road. So you probably have to the garage from the road, you're approaching 45 to 50 feet,
Yeah,
really,
that's what it sounds like.
with the curve and the road. Or the driveway rather. I do recommend that we go ahead and widen, because it's only scaling to about 12 or 13 feet wide there. So
Okay.
we could add some width to that to get to the full 20 feet. Then they'll have plenty of room to park 4 vehicles there.
Okay. The elevations that I'm looking at, is this a cement fiberboard?
That's my understanding, is cement fiberboard with the stone or brick accents, yes.
Okay. The lots themselves, how similar are they to Derby Run and Cedar Hills that are in this area?
They're similar. You do have one that's a little bit larger, almost 9,000. There are three that are only between 5 and 6. We do have our developments that are getting into that size on some of the lots. And this one's a little different. In those lots, in those developments, you have some cul-de-sac lots and things like that that are bigger, and so your average is bigger. This, obviously, you don't have that. So it is similar as far as the surrounding developments that are within the town at least. Those two PUDs that are across the street.
Let's see, and side setbacks are they 15,
There's 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah, 15 total, yes.
Yeah, 15
7.5 per
total.
lot.
Are we okay with HVAC systems on the side then? Or do they need to be in the rear?
They would need to be in the rear.
That's what I thought. Okay. Other questions for Kevin?
I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So the request is for Lot 2 for the setback from Rocky Fork to be 25 instead of 35. So that means, is
The
that
setback will be from the Briley Road.
From
setback
Briley.
will be- Yeah, the Rocky Fork Road setback would be 35 feet. It would be on the Briley Road, but that is where their access would be from. But it would be from the Briley Road side.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yes, if you can give us your name
I'm
and
Paul
address.
Lebovitz, and I just wanted to speak about this project just for a second. As Mr. Ricksby was bringing up, we asked for this change of 10 feet on that setback. On this particular lot, even though it's got more square footage, like 2,000 more than the other lots, just about, that right-hand corner has, there's a power line easement, there's some water line easement. I mean, there's a whole bunch of easements there already. And so that actually cut off the end of the lot. So we went ahead and said, okay, just 35 feet is actually all in easements over there. And then when you're facing the street, because this curves inward between the easements and making the 35-foot setback, actually it was more like a postage stamp house. And so that's why I asked that we vary it by 10 feet. Now, this is a small correction, but I drew a footprint for a house on here, 40 by 30, that's 1,200 square foot. So that make a decent footprint, and, somebody could put a second floor on it. And actually, that would be a side-loaded garage, and that's just a small correction.
Okay.
And so what I'm looking at is the pad behind the garage actually is big enough for 4 cars. But we don't mind widening. I understand the statute here that you have driveways that are 2-car wide. And we'll be glad to widen the driveway. It's just when I put the garage there and it's parking for 4 cars, I didn't know if I needed to widen it or not, but we can do that.
Well, one of the focuses that we've had is trying to get cars off our roadways and, our streets because it creates a hazard,
Right.
particularly at night. So we've had a focus on this. One of the solutions has been the 35-foot setback as far as the garage and the double-wide driveways.
Yeah.
So that we do that because in today's world, you can very easily have 4 drivers and 4 cars in a home. So that's what we're looking at there, and that's why we want to make sure we get this correct.
Yeah, and I don't live in your community, but I have followed this for the last 5 years, that there were issues. People were not only in the street, they're parking on their front yards and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So I'm sympathetic to what you've tried to do. So that's what I'm saying. We don't have a problem taking that driveway and widening it.
The homes are I guess, brick, stone, and hardy board, correct? No vinyl
Yes.
as far as the,
No, there's no vinyl.
okay.
I don't think anybody wants vinyl anymore.
Not much anymore, no. Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, I have a question, 'cause, something you just said about, the Lot 2 house.
Yes.
You said something about 1,200 square feet,
Well, the footprint is 1,200.
but,
But I just need to, when I'm working on these drawings, I want to make sure there's actually room for a footprint. And so 1,200 was kind of maxed out doing that 25-foot setback. And I thought, well, he could do 1,000, and he could do 1,000 upstairs. But I needed to put a measure on here, and I wanted y'all to see what a footprint would look like. If I showed you what it was with the 35-foot setback, I mean, it would be sort of like a tiny home. It just imposed so much.
think what Amy's asking, the way it looks, it's a 1,200 square foot home, but the minimum is gonna be 1,900, correct?
Yes.
Kevin? Is that
Correct.
Okay.
So we're talking about
They
a-
could put a 1,200 square foot home on it, but it'd have to have a second story
Have to
to
have a
meet
second
the
story.
requirements.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not enough room there for, you know, we gotta leave, if we have a side load garage, you gotta back out of it, you know, all these kind of things.
Okay. Other questions from Mr. Lebowitz? All right, thank you, sir.
Okay?
Kevin, on that driveway, what's standard on that driveway? Is it,
As far as the width?
Yes.
20.
so what would it need to go to?
Right now it's about 13, so that's probably 12 or 13, so that's why we're just widening it to the 20 feet is all.
But not any wider than 20?
It wouldn't need to be any, no,
Okay.
that's
I
what's
didn't
kind of
know.
our standard thing is. you know,
Okay.
we
That's
do-
what given the extra 10 feet, from 35 back to 25, that driveway would need to maintain 20 feet then?
Right.
Okay.
And that's what's on all the others that are drawn on here.
Lot 3, 4, and probably 5 come off Amble Road, is that right?
Yes.
Rocky Fork.
Rocky
Avenue
Rocky
Road.
Fork Almaville, that's
Yes,
correct.
Yes.
That is a busy road.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with staff comments, including ensuring a 20-foot wide driveway.
Thank you.
Okay.
20 or
On-
25?
20
20 foot
driveway
width on the.
20 foot width?
Yeah.
Okay.
on lot 2.
Okay. Second. I have a second. Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. We are now on to rezoning request. The first item under rezoning request is Clay Wallace, Fortitude Trail, east of Montgomery Road, rezoning R1 PRD to PRD.
Yeah, this is a rezoning request for, it's a parcel of land, it's about 20, a little over 23 acres. Kind of in between Woodmont and Green Tree and some of the other developments that are in that area. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1 and R3, as well as PRD, which is the Woodmont PRD and the Colony Green Tree PRD. Land use plan would support medium-density, single-family in this area. No roads on the major thoroughfare plan are affected by this request. This requested PRD is for 71 single-family lots. We had a few comments still, one being the water lines must connect to Skinner Drive in order to receive fire flow. We do have concerns with part of this development regarding being able to meet fire flow, and so, but we feel like if we can make the connection between Green Tree and Skinner Drive there to the west there for Summer Ridge, that development, we could make that work with that. So we asked them to show that connection, because it is 1,000 gallons at 20 PSI is what's required for fire flow. We had a comment number 7 regarding to show the amount of provided common open space, which would be improved, and they have done that, and they are meeting our requirements. Comment number 8, they had shown some materials for the street-facing facades. We'd asked the question about the rest of the structures. And in looking at the materials list, they show that it's really for the non-residential materials we have under design review. And so I talked with the representative today and did recommend that they just kind of go with some brick or stone and concrete siding, kind of mix. They don't have a specific builder yet for this development, and so they didn't want to do a lot of tie the builder's hands to a lot of specific elevations and that sort of thing. But the materials is more what we're concerned about than we are necessarily the specific elevations. And so And so that's what we would recommend, that comment number 8 kind of be struck, and just that they be brick, stone, and concrete siding, got mix of materials to be used.
You're talking about in total, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, and not necessarily that they have to be all 3 or anything like that, but that they be a mix of those. The access would be from Fortitude Trail, which is a road that is within the Green Tree development. And so it would be, that would be the only access, that is the only street stubbed into this area. The Colony Estates area to the north, the original PUD approval there did have Skinner Drive connecting to Skinner Drive and Green Tree. And so you could have a connection there and eventually connect to Skinner Drive. 3-4 years ago, they came back and amended that PUD and eliminated that connection. They've never gone beyond the zoning really with that development. No action's been taken to do that or construct that development. But so that is what has been approved from a zoning standpoint. And then you have Woodmont to the south and west, and there was no street stub to this area as a part of that. However, there is a road within Woodmont that stubs to the east, and when that property develops, there would be a connection. There's a road called Patience Drive there, and so you would have a connection there. That road that's within Woodmont would eventually connect all the way to Green Tree Drive, which could get you to Rock Springs Road or Rocky Fork Road. And so as this overall development happens, the people who would be living in this area would have an additional way to get out to either Rock Springs Road and eventually Rocky Fork Road, not just to Rock Springs Road through the Green Tree development. So I think that's all that I have.
Questions for Kevin or staff? Kevin, I just want to make sure I'm clear as far as the stub goes. There's going to be a connection to Fortitude that's currently in the villages of Green Tree, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other opportunities based upon what's been built out as far as any other potential stubs for this development, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And there's some topo issues on this track, and the reason that Colony Estates changed is the developer came back, and there's some pretty significant topography on that property as well, and that's why they came back with just some large estate lots that, again, they've never developed and done anything with. Those large estates lots are what's been approved from the PRD, the zoning is in place for that, so yeah, there's really no opportunities for any connections other than to this property other than the Fortitude Trail track.
Is this development consistent with what we have that's already developed in this area?
Yeah, the lot sizes and everything are all very similar to what's within Woodmont. Certainly, it's, for the villages of Green Tree are R3, and so those are a little bit bigger because they're 10,000 minimum there. But certainly, it's consistent with the Woodmont.
Okay. And if we were to consider a motion on this, we just need to be sure that we're including, as far as, standard PRD, that it's brick, stone, or cement fiber as far as all surfaces.
Correct.
HVAC systems,
They would be in the
Rear?
rear. They would be in the rear, yes.
would that need to be mentioned as part of a motion if someone were to do that?
That would be fine to do that, yeah. 'Cause off the top of my head, I can't recall if that's in the pod documents or not. No,
I couldn't remember seeing
yeah.
it.
I think it is, but to be sure, we probably ought to add it in the motion.
So if nothing else develops around it because of the topography, there's only one way in, one way out. You've got 70, it said 71 units here.
Correct. There would be one way in, one way out. Once you get to that, and that's what they're left with here. Eventually, you will have, because the topography in that, the property is zoned R1 there, kind of southeast of this, south of Villages of Green Tree, doesn't have that near the topography challenges that the areas north do. And so that road that's is not there yet, but would be stubbed on the east end of Woodmont, which is directly south of this request, would eventually have a connection to Villages of Green Tree, and eventually all the way to Green Tree Drive and Rocky Fork Road. So you would have other ways within the development, the overall development to get to out. These 71 lots are only gonna have one way in and out, and that's just, there's really no way to correct that. Once that Colony Estates PUD got amended, any stub that would have come into this property went away, so that removed the option there really for that, and then the Woodmont master plan
If
was such,
somebody
it had already
were,
been approved as well, so.
yeah, if somebody were to develop the Colony Estates property, do they have other options getting out of there?
Now, there's
Just
three.
Skinner?
There's 3 lots on the west side where Skinner Drive is,
Mhm.
and there's 5 or 6 lots, large lots that would come off of Ryan Hill Drive.
So they've got two ways, or
Yeah,
in
well,
and out.
yeah,
Okay.
because there's 2, and then there's no connection between the two. Yes.
Any other questions?
Just to clarify, the obvious, but that also means there's no other construction entrance. So all the construction vehicles will come through the neighborhood as well.
Unfortunately, that's the case, yes,
There's
unless
not-
they can work out some sort of easement. But if they come through Skinner Drive, then they're gonna be going through that neighborhood. So, I mean, you're gonna have to come through a neighborhood one way or the other. There's really no way for them to avoid it, really.
And in current state, this is an R1 property, right?
Part of it is, some of it had a PRD, because at one point, part of Woodmont was gonna be, was potentially looking at purchasing some of this, and so they had a PRD designation that went away. But in reality, it went away, but technically it didn't because the map was never amended. But yes, it's largely R1 today, yes.
Kevin, is there any information available to speak to what that density would do, which is obvious traffic-wise for the neighborhood, the existing neighborhood?
This doesn't meet the thresholds for a traffic study under our ordinance.
Right.
It's only with 71 lots, so we don't have any specific, but it's going to require, actually, everyone's going to be, at least initially, it's going to be coming through Green Tree to Rock Springs Road. If you want to go to the school or anything, the middle school there or whatever. So it certainly will increase traffic some, there's no doubt, but it doesn't meet the criteria or the threshold we would say would be an overloading, an intersection or anything like that to require any improvements or anything like that. Like turn lanes or anything.
And the road that, after saying being, if it were to be constructed, the heaviest traffic would flow on what road? Coming out, headed towards, well, at least the exit.
They'll be coming down probably Patience Drive to Green Tree Drive to Rock Springs Road. Yeah. At least until, the property southeast develops, in which case, and once it ties into Woodmont, you could certainly see people coming to Rocky Fork Road at that point, because you could go through Woodmont or through that development to get to Rocky Fork Road.
That's not as bad.
Other questions for staff? So any other information you guys feel that's needed at this point? I will entertain a motion then.
Just to get the conversation started. Motion to deny based on additional traffic from these 71 lots.
Okay, I have a motion to deny. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to deny. Any further discussions? All in favor of the denial signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Okay, this motion is not approved. Our next item is Dixon Pit, Trident Drive, rezoning C2 to PUD.
Yeah, this is a rezoning request. It's Trident Drive, Safari Drive, as well, really the portion of the property that's been requested for zoning, actually, really is more Safari Drive than Trident. It's about 6.88 acres. That's a part of a parcel there. Part of the land would be remained, it's currently zone C2, would remain zone C2 if this is approved. Surrounding zoning is a mix of C2 and I2 in town, and then light industrial in Rutherford County. That is the track to the kind of northeast there. The land use plan is this is one of our 24 gateway character areas. Kind of support a mix of uses and services, or kind of local and regional in scale, including hospitality, retail, restaurant, and multifamily uses. No roads shown on the major thoroughfare plan are affected by this request. This proposed PUD is for a truck repair facility. And when I say trucks, I'm talking about the semi tractor trucks. The fire with the sprinkler system and everything, the 1,000 gallons per minute is what is required here for fire flow. This would, the development would, as I said, would access Safari Drive, and that would be their main point of access, not Trident. It would basically, there's multiple access points into the building on both sides, and you kind of have to drive all the way around it. Part of this property is affected by the floodplain, but they're staying out of that. That's along the creek on the kind of that west side, and they're staying out of that. We did, as a staff, we did recommend that the building meet design review. Their proposal is a primarily metal building with a concrete block kind of along the base all the way around it, and then a small area of EFS kind of in the main, around kind of the main entrance door. So that is something they are requesting, that it be approved as what they've submitted. We did recommend to meet design review. On comment 7, they did clarify on the first sentence of 7 regarding they had shown PUD and C5 zoning, and it's just PUD, so we did clarify that, and that's been taken care of on the first sentence. I know the rest of comment number 7 would need to remain just kind of for informational purposes, if nothing else. As a proposed use as a truck repair facility and no other uses are requested, this would be the only allowed use within this PUD. Number 8 has been addressed regarding the water main size. That's now shown, so we can remove comment number 8. The elevations are what popped up there now. Those are the proposed elevations, and there's a picture there in the corner. That would be the one that's the actual picture is that would be facing Tridon Drive. That's kind of the front of the building is really as far as the main entrance at least, is facing Tridon. Even though there's going to be some property between this, would-be property between this building and Tridon. But again, largely you can see that with the roll-up doors and everything, kind of what it would look like. So they are here. Would like certainly the opportunity to speak if you'd like to hear from them. But that's what we have.
All right, let's start with any questions for Kevin at this point. All right, clarify for me, when we're talking about design review, are we talking what would be on the, I guess, western side and I guess facing Tridon? Is that?
Yeah, the southern and western side was the main concerns we had, just because that's the one that has the most potential to be seen from Lee Victory. There is, and so they're part of their reasoning behind why they're requested, and their argument is part of, there's quite a bit of existing vegetation along the creek and that sort of thing that will hide this building somewhat, but this is they reference also the industrial buildings. There are some industrial buildings in that area, many of which have been there for quite some time, that don't meet design review. We also have some new buildings that are being built at the end of Tridon Drive that are all going to be all tilt panel concrete and do meet what's allowed in design review for an industrial area. So this is really, they're wanting to have kind of an industrial look and to be allowed to have an industrial type building. Under our ordinance, this is really more of a commercial use technically, because it's a vehicle repair, and so and this property is currently zoned C2. So, which, of course, that use isn't allowed in C2, but that's what for the zoning, hence the zoning request. But again, our primary concern was the area, even if it's not as visible from Tridon, or I'm sorry, from Lee Victory Parkway, it certainly will be very visible from Tridon and the gas station across the street and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So that's why we made our recommendation. So
Okay. Any other questions for Kevin? Is there someone here representing the project? If you could give us your name and address, please.
Yes, sir. Josh Hutchison, 230 Willowman Drive. I'm with the civil engineer, Fulmer Lucas.
Okay.
Just to kind of, I guess, add on to what Mr. Rigsby was saying, our initial application for this was actually a PID. Clark Power kind of considers themselves more of an industrial use. I believe I think automotive repair is included in the industrial zoning in the regulations. Is that incorrect?
So it's allowed, it's C5.
C5.
Yes,
So that would be commercial.
yeah.
Okay. I would reiterate that, there's a row of trees along both sides of the creek between Almaville Highway in our site, and we're not touching any of that existing vegetation. And additionally, we could provide more screening. It would be viewable from Tridon as of today, but potentially with it only being 6.9 acres of the total 10 acres, that other lot could potentially be built on too, which would make it less visible in the future.
Okay. So what is the primary reason then for us that you're asking us to consider allowing the building to come in without meeting design review?
I think the primary reason would be that we'd consider it industrial. If there's a way to switch it to a PID instead of a PUD, like I said, that was the initial intent. I don't know if that's a possibility, but, and I guess the secondary argument would be it's not easily visible from the road.
Okay.
And I think as far as the zoning nomenclature, either way, I think staff would have the same recommendation, so that really doesn't affect our recommendation at least.
This is in effect a C5 use.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this
I mean-
lot is currently, it's currently zoned C2.
It's zone C2, yeah.
Okay. Other questions?
Yeah. Go back to the map. The Safari Drive kind of is your boundary. Going toward Lee Victory from there is commercial. Going away from Lee Victory is industrial. So.
And this time of year with leaves falling, it will be visible. So that'll open the visibility up to pretty much the whole building on the front and the sides where your roll-up doors are.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Kevin, one of the plats showed, I think it said that maybe the end of Safari, is that where the church owns property?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's under construction now.
Okay, and then the lot there where it says C2, that's the lot he was talking about that's not,
That's this property currently. It would be, that's the part they were talking about dividing off.
Okay.
And keeping that property zone C2. It would just be the area outlined
Right.
of where the building would be and everything.
so let's say somebody put another building similar to this there in that C2, you can still see a good part of that other building because you'd have to bring it back to the corner. So you're exposing at least half that building to be seen.
Anything that's built on C, of course, depending on use, how much parking they need,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. But you would have, it would be concentrated towards
The corner.
the corner because it gets too narrow.
Right.
Once the western
The narrow
third
part
to half.
you could use for parking, but
You
then
could
you've got
certainly park
visibility.
there, but
Yeah.
no building, yeah.
Okay.
But the C2 lot that's in front of it would have to be built to meet design review for C2.
Sure.
Correct.
Yeah. Other questions or discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I move to deny based on the change would not be consistent with the surrounding properties, especially facing Lee Victory.
Okay, I have a motion to deny. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to deny. Further discussion? All those in favor of denial signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. This denial is approved. We are now on to final plat, Cedar Grove Village, 349 Cheney Road, owner, developer, Cornerstone United Methodist Church, BM Homes LLC.
Yes, this is the plat for the Cedar Grove Village. This is a site plan, a rezoning and a site plan that you've seen, have seen both of those recently, last couple months. And so this is just the plat. This is, it's 2 lots, 10 acres. This is creating the lot that for the remaining church property, and then the lot for the townhome development as well. It is creating all of the utility easements for the townhome development. So we had just several comments, but they're all very standard comments regarding NPDS permits and all that. I will point out that Cheney Road is a collector, and so they are showing the right-of-way dedication there along Cheney Road, as it was shown on their site plan and everything. So we would recommend approval with those 6 comments.
Questions for Kevin? Kevin, this is consistent with what's previously been submitted.
It's consistent with the zoning and the site plan that was already submitted this week.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve with staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion's approved. Our next final plat is Oak Meadow, Section 2, Lee Road, Bermuda Chase Street. Owner, developer, John Burns, J.M. Burns, ALC.
Yes, this is the final plat for Section 2 of Oak Meadows. It's 36 lots on 12.49 acres. It's on Lee Road. Again, we had a few comments. Some of these are our standard comments, but I'll go through these. Again, the major thoroughfare plan does designate Lee Road as a collector. Adequate right-of-way is proposed to be dedicated with this plat. We did make a note, no building permits can be issued for this development until the offsite sewer is installed and active. That would be the coming from the Olive Branch sewer line that the town is we're currently getting close to finishing up there. They need to extend their sewer to that sewer. Now, comment number 3, there were several lots that had some easements, that had some just odd dimensions and odd locations, and so we asked them to provide some dimensions on those and some distances. All of that has been taken care of, except there's one small easement on lot 35 that still needs to be clarified, so we want to keep that just for lot 35. Number 4 is just a standard comment regarding signatures prior to recording. And number 5 can be removed. It's no longer necessary. It's been addressed. And so, and then we need to, comment number 6 would need to remain. This is actually served by the town, but CUD does have a water line. And so they had wanted to review this plat to look at it to make sure they're concerned regarding their water line. So we need to keep comment number 6 there for that. So again, so we can remove number 5 and then amend number 3 to include just lot 35, and then keep the rest of the comments. And with that, staff would recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin?
Kevin, did you say it was served by Smyrna or CUD?
It's served by Smyrna, but CUD has water line in this area.
Okay.
Not within the development, but along Lee Road.
Okay.
And so they just wanted to be sure, they had some concern. We actually met with them on a completely different issue, and it got brought up earlier today.
Okay.
With regards to, they had some concerns regarding the line and making sure they had adequate cover over that sort of thing, so.
Other questions or discussion?
Can you tell us about the street layout there with lot 51 and 52? Looks like a partial cul-de-sac.
Yeah, it is a cul-de-sac. It's just that's the edge of their property, and that is the there would be a full cul-de-sac in there, full turnaround. And it does goes abut directly to that adjoining property line, adjoining property. So in theory, I guess the road could get extended in the future. That is what was shown on the PUD and the preliminary plat. That is consistent.
Anything else? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve with staff comment.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion's approved. Our next item under final plats is Olara Sam Ridley West, owner developer Sam Ridley Land Acquisitions LLC, Second Wave Development LLC, CO Stan Jones.
Yeah, this is a final plat for it's called Olara now. It came through for zoning purposes as it was Second Wave Development. That was the name of the company. They have since branded this development Olara. It's a couple of tracts of land, but it's about 39 acres. This is primarily to dedicate the public sewer easements, and there are a few small water. Most of the water within is actually not going to be public, but there are some of the there's couple of public water line easements as well, and so it's for the creation of the lots and creation of the easements. We just had a couple comments regarding there's several streets here. Jeannie Lane and Motlow College Boulevard are collectors. Sam Ridley is a principal arterial. An adequate right-of-way has been dedicated for all three of those streets, and that they just need to add signatures before we record it. So just those minor comments. Staff would recommend approval.
Mr. Kevin. I will entertain a motion then.
Move to approve the staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion's approved. We are now on to Pottsville subdivision, end of Eugene Drive, owner developer Hollingshead Land LLC.
Yeah, this is the final plat for Pottsville subdivision. It's 39 lots, 20.84 acres. We had just a few comments here, nothing, mostly standard comments. Again, there's no roads effective of the major thoroughfare plan here with this one. They need to add their signatures prior to recording. We still need 911 approval for one of the streets, Oregano Drive. That is the street. Planning Commission may remember when this came through for preliminary plat review, there was a requirement that they stub a street to the east, to the adjoining vacant tract of land, and so they have shown that street, and that is the street, so that we still still need the 911 approval and the name. So we'd ask them on comment number 5, there's an easement on lot 14, just to add some additional dimensions so we know how wide and that is and that sort of thing for purposes for as it develops out. And so that has been done, so we can remove comment 5. And then they did provide the note regarding the fire flow and meeting the 2018 IRC. We do have some concern with some fire flow in this area, and there will be fire sprinkler systems in some of these houses because of that. And so anyway, so we wanted to be sure that was noted on the plat, and that has been done. So With really the first 4 comments, staff would recommend approval.
And this looks to be consistent with what's been previously approved,
Correct.
and we do have the stub that we asked for.
Yes.
Okay. Other questions or discussion? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve with staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion's approved. We are now on to Quail Ridge, Section 1, consolidation of lots 8 and 9, 1929 Amable Road, owner, developer, RAM Smyrna Partnership.
Yeah, this is just a combination plat, C2 zoning. It's 2 existing lots within the Quail Ridge development there along Almoville Road. This is primarily here because they are dedicating a sewer easement as well as sewer lines being shown, and then as well as extending a water line, a CUD water line to serve this lot. The major thoroughfare plan does designate Almoville Road as a minor arterial, and that right-of-way does exist there. Again, comment number 2 is just a standard comment regarding signatures being added. Number 3, they asked them to extend the sewer main and manhole to the furthest southern lot line. As it was originally shown, it didn't go all the way to that lot line, so they asked them to extend it, and that has been done, so we can remove that comment. Minimum fire flow here is 1,500 GPM at 20 PSI. That's just an informational comment for them. They had shown an 8-inch sewer main, however, that they had just shown it as if it exists, and it doesn't exist yet, and so they did label it as proposed, and so that has been taken care of. Comments 6, 7, and 8 are from Consolidated Utility District, and we want to keep those 3. So we can remove comments 3 and 5, and with the remaining comments, staff would recommend approval.
Okay. Questions for staff on this one? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve with staff comment.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second? Motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Our last item under final plats is Valley Green re-subdivision of Lot 56, Terrytown Drive, owner, developer, Jerry Butler Builders, Inc.
Yeah, this is on Terrytown Drive. It's 4 lots. This is one that you all have seen a couple times for zoning and then also for the preliminary plat. It's 4 lots on about a little over 2.24 acres. We had some standard comments, again, regarding NPDES permits and those kind of things. We did have one kind of outstanding comment regarding the sewer easement. We'd asked them to provide a dimension. The sewer easement, it's along the rear of the lots in the common area. We just asked to add some dimensions there, so we have, it documents the width of that for purposes if we ever need to do any work on it or for anything like that. And so they have done that, and so we can remove comment number 7. And again, with those other standard comments, staff would recommend approval.
You're right, we've talked about this
A few times.
parcel
A couple
few
of different zoning
times, and
requests, and
I think
then
we
the
went
plats as
from
well.
towns to maybe something even more dense down to this, and I remember a lot of discussion, a lot of time spent up here. So staff is satisfied at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Anything from the commission? I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? This motion's approved. We are now on to site plans. Kevin, my understanding is item number 1 has been withdrawn.
That is correct.
Okay, we'll move to item number 2 is Champy's, 835 Isabella Lane, owner, developer Newman Group 2 LLC.
This is the site plan for the Champies that you recently saw. It was approved in May 2022 by the council. The access to this site would utilize a couple access points off the Home Depot parking lot area, as well as an additional stub street coming to the north from the self-storage facility to the south of it. So there's not going to be a dedicated access off Isabella, but they're both via shared access easements from adjoining tracts. There is also a driveway that's shown with this site as well. It's at the rear of the building. The building's kind of tucked back on the parcel as well, so this would prevent any stacking onto Isabella Lane. Vehicular use area for the site, 34,803 square feet, which would require 3,480 square feet of landscaping. Applicant's showing for 12,562 square feet, meeting and exceeding the requirement. Parking required is 111 spaces, and they are showing for 112. And that does also require 5 handicap spaces, they are showing for 5 as well. The landscape plan shows a variety of shrubbery within landscape islands and around the base of the building. Trees are also proposed along Isabella Lane and in landscape islands around the parking lot area. The architectural elevations submitted show materials used to be consisting of brick, metal, and wood. Per the approved PUD, the 75% of the material shall be primary material, which would be brick, and 25% of the materials can be comprised of the accent, which would be the metal and the wood. Part of the revised plans we received did further break down those percentages that they are proposing. 81% of the exterior materials are to be brick, 12% reclaimed wood, and 7% reclaimed metal. With those 2 accent materials of the wood and metal, it's shown for 19%, so they are meeting the approved PUD. Standard comments 1 through 6, all to remain at this time. A couple staff comments to go over. Comment 1 was regarding the auto turn. They used a standard passenger vehicle in the auto turn. We want a Smyrna fire truck, ladder truck to be used for the auto turn. So extra clarification on that, and it will remain. Comment 2, regarding the utilities, just ask that the engineer reach out to the utilities department to iron out a couple wrinkles as far as the connection points are concerned. Comment 3 goes along with comment 2 for the utility plans. Comment 4, there was a misinformation labeled in the site data table. They have gotten that straightened out, so comment 4 can be removed. Comment 5 was the breakdown of the exterior materials. They have done that, and that can be removed as well. Comment 6 goes along with comment 2 and 3 as well for the utilities comments, so it will remain. And then comment 7 was regarding the backflow preventer. They were showing a backflow preventer that we don't allow, and they have now revised it to show one that we do. So comment 7 can be removed. So with that, comments 4, 5, and 7 are all removed, and the rest will remain. With that, we would recommend approval with those comments.
Questions for Mitchell?
Mitchell, I think lighting is something that we kind of discussed in May regarding this, but that is still satisfactory.
Yeah, so
Nothing has been-
everything is meeting what was previously discussed during the rezoning process.
All right, thank you.
Other questions or discussion?
Just for clarity, because I know they're not going out on Isabella, but they are using Home Depot and the storage.
Yeah, there's an existing stub point to the north where that storage facility is located at, so they're just gonna tie into that and extend it.
So when you leave the restaurant, show me, just for clarity, show me exactly where are they going into the Home Depot, and I'm just looking at the map, I'm not,
Entrance point right here.
Okay.
Into the site.
In
and
the
there's
front.
another one
Okay.
back here, an entrance down.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve with staff comment.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion's approved. Our next item is Jiffy Lube, 800 Isabella Lane, owner, developer, Jiffy Lube International.
This is a site plan for the Jiffy Lube project adjacent to the last discussed item. This is one that you all have recently seen as well as part of the rezoning process, and it was approved in October at the council meeting as part of the rezoning. Access to the site would utilize a single access point on Isabella Lane, which would be across from the entrance to the Home Depot point on Isabella Lane. A single egress location onto Isabella is shown north of the entrance. As customers have service on their vehicle completed, they're then able to exit the site back onto Isabella Lane. Vehicular use area for the site, 11,216 square feet, which does require 1,122 square feet of landscaping. They're showing for 1,312 square feet. Parking required of 7 spaces, and they're showing for 7, and then 1 handicap space is shown as well, and that is meeting the requirement. Landscape plan shows street trees lining both Isabella Lane and President Place with shrubbery between the trees. Additional shrubbery is shown around the drive aisles and at the base of the building. Architectural elevations submitted show the materials used to be consisting of brick and ephes and roll-up doors. Rear elevations, which do face President Place, has 22% ephes with remaining material of brick and glass and glazing, along with the 4 roll-up doors. The side, which is the east elevation, and front elevation visible from Isabella Lane both have 25% ephes, with the other side elevations consisting of 24.5% ephes. Submit elevations do meet the approved PCD. Standard comments 1 through 5, all to remain, and then a couple staff comments to go over. Staff comment 1 is regarding the backflow preventers. That is going to remain. Utilities comment. Comment 2 is also a utilities comment regarding a need for an oil water separator. Comment 3, there were street trees that are needed on Isabella Lane to meet design review. They're showing more of a decorative tree than a street tree, so we'd like them to make that revision to those street trees along Isabella Lane to be consistent with design review. Comment 4 goes alongside with 1 and 2 regarding the utility plan submittals. Comment 5 has been addressed, and then with that, staff recommend approval with those remaining comments.
Mitchell, we had quite a bit of discussion on this
Yes, sir.
at both a planning commission and a council level. And we recognize it was a challenging lot. With that, staff's recommending approval, so I'm assuming that everything that we required at both levels has been met.
Correct.
Okay. Questions for Mitchell? Or discussion amongst the commission? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Our next item under our site plans is Rock Springs Retail, Rock Springs Road and Great Circle. Owner developer, Rock Springs Partners LLC, J-Dev Patel.
This is a site plan for Rock Springs Retail, which is a retail and restaurant location, about 12,488 square feet of building space. This is the last site to be developed in the Sterling at Stonecrest PUD development. Access to the site would utilize a dedicated ingress and egress onto Rock Springs Road. No access may be provided off the roundabout. This was when the development originally came through, it was decided on a set number of access points off of the roundabout due to the size of it. When the packets went out last week, there was a little bit of revisions to the plans that need to be made. The engineer has done so, and they were originally showing a access point off of the roundabout, and they have removed that. So shifted the site a little bit, took where that entrance was, removed it. They provided a secondary access to the site via the rear, which is part of the assisted living facility. There's already a stub point there to connect to this site, so they're just tying into that existing point. And then that does also go alongside with the primary access point, which would come off of Rock Springs Road. The site overall is about 2.5 acres in size, and about 1.5 acres will be utilized for this development. The remaining portion of about acre would be utilized for drainage for the entire development. Square footage of vehicular use area for the site, about 1 acre, and that would require 4,341 square feet landscaping. Applicant is showing for 4,410 square feet. Total park required of 82 spaces, and they're showing for 83. There were a couple revisions from the last plan where they had to remove a couple parking spaces that were shown as part of the access point removal, so that is the reason for the reduction in proposed spaces from the time packets went out. Handicap parking space requirement of 4, and they're showing for 4 as well. The landscape plan shows a variety of trees planted in landscape islands throughout the parking lot. Shrubbery is proposed along Great Circle and Rock Springs Road. Architectural elevations submitted show the materials used to consist of brick, glass, and glazing, and a stone face block. All 4 elevations, brick and glass glazing combined for over 75% of the wall faces, which do meet the design review requirements. Standard comments 1 through 5 all will remain. Staff comment 1 was regarding that access point off of Great Circle, which has been addressed and can be removed. Comment 2 was regarding the FDC location, and that has been addressed, can be removed. Comment 3 is more of a standard comment, we're just stating that the fire flow requirement is 1,000 gallons per minute at 20 psi. Comment 4, utilities comment, has been addressed. Comment 5 was regarding the fire line backflow and domestic tap, that has been addressed as well. And then comment 6 was a comment regarding 2 separate taps for domestic water in the fire line, and that has been addressed as well. So comments 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 have all been addressed and can be removed. And then with that, staff recommend approval with the remaining comments.
Okay, questions for Mitchell? This will complete this development, correct?
Yep.
I think we've been pretty pleased with it so far from a community perspective, and I do like having restaurant retail and kind of a walkability factor for our seniors that are either at the assisted living or for the folks that have some of the apartments here, and certainly, what was the other one, a daycare that's been built
Yeah, right
on
next
this?
door, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Other questions or comments?
How far is that entrance from the light at Stonecrest?
Do you know the number?
Right off, it was over 150.
Yeah, we had the discussion when this plan originally came through about what the requirement was, and it's meeting that requirement, whatever that distance was set.
Yeah, there was a traffic study done when this development was first begun, and then there was an addendum later. And there was a window where there could be an access per the traffic study on Rock Springs Road. There had to be a certain distance from the light at Stonecrest, and then a certain distance as well from Great Circle, which is the private road that goes into the development. And this meets that, this is within that window of where they could put that.
Okay, other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Mike, do you have the second? Second from Mike. I have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Okay, I think it's, at this point in time, we're going to bring the item back up that we spoke about at the very beginning. So let's do this, Kevin. Why don't you give us a summary? Do we have someone here representing?
My understanding is there's going to be someone here. I'm not seeing anybody here, though.
Okay,
My understanding there was going to be somebody here tonight. Yeah, this, what's on the plans, and I've got, we didn't print anything big, but we do have, let's take one and pass it. This is the site plan, and then there's a drawing for what was approved and a drawing for what they're wanting you to approve. It's Aeroplex Park Lot 3. It's on Swan Drive. There's an existing building there. They're building an addition to that building. The existing building has kind of a brick front with metal sides and rear, and so this again is behind that. The existing building was built well before design review was in place. And so what was approved in March of 2021 was that the west side that had visibility to Weekly Lane, as well as the back of the building, which is the north side, would be required to meet design review. In the subsequent time since then, they've built the building, and the builder has constructed it with metal, and so now they would have to go back and retrofit, and so there would be at about the back, I think they're 50 feet of the building on that side is what is visible from Weekly, and then the rear of the building. We did have, this is what's approved. Again, you show that kind of the back 50 feet with the last two roll-up doors in the back part of the building. And then the rear, which is the bottom right elevation, is the rear of the building. What was approved had EFS shown. And then what's on the left here is what they're wanting to go to, again, just all metal. The picture on the right, the building in front where you can kind of see the white vinyl fence, that's the building between this building and Weekly Lane, and the building behind it is the building that's been constructed there with all metal. So the building in front, that side does have a metal finish. Again, all these was built before design review was required. So that's basically what they're asking you to do, is to amend your approval from March of 2021 to allow for that portion of this side is visible from Weekly Lane, as well as the rear of the building, to have finished with metal instead of meeting design review. So, which was, again, what they're proposing, or what was approved was EFS, which at the time did meet design review as far as percentages and all this before we changed our rules on percentages.
could you pull up the, I guess the approval of the elevation that was approved, just one more time?
Yeah.
So we would be, in essence, what's approved is going from a metal to an EFS.
Correct. For.
And EFS.
This area here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And then
EFS
the back of the
would have been approved in '21 as a material.
Yeah, yes.
At a certain percentage,
Well,
or
yeah,
in total.
It could, yeah, because we didn't have the percentage requirements at the time.
Okay.
Right. Of course, this is an industrial zone. It's a cabinet shop. And so the rules in industrial are a little different. But again, EFS isn't allowed, certainly. The percentage of having all this entire area as EFS would have been allowed, yes.
I'm not sure if you typically see EFS on a metal shop.
That's true.
Okay. Thoughts from the commission?
just being honest and looking, would you mind pulling the one photo back up? And I believe that photo was taken recently.
It was dated the 26th, yeah.
Okay.
So last week.
So, and again, just for anyone watching, the building in question is the farthest one. It's back there. I don't know if you can move your cursor and point at it for anybody watching, but, thank you. So if we were to go back, or if the owner were to go back and retrofit that, then it will not match, for lack of a better word, the building that's already there. So I think my 2 cents in this particular case is it probably looks better like it is in current state because they match, instead of having the ephes as was originally designed. I think that's my take on it at the moment.
Okay, I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Well, if we did have them go back and do the EVIS, it wouldn't match what we're requiring now anyway, correct? I mean, it wouldn't
Yeah,
match the percentages that we require
right,
now anyway.
Right, and again, because this is industrial, it's a little different, but yes, you're right. With regards to what I mean, EFS would still be an allowed material, but you wouldn't see probably this much of it.
That much of it.
Right. Of course, metal's an allowed material now, we have to allow metal, so.
Right.
But this, Chris, that's in the commercial piece, we don't allow, we limit that quite a
Right.
bit, but, yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I'm like Tim, if you give the changes, it may not blend in as well. Right now, you pass by there, it has some continuity from building to building. If you do anything to it, it's really gonna stand out more so than blending. And I think there's another building or two there on Swan that actually is the same metal type structure. So there is some continuity around it as well.
Okay. Anyone else? I kind of wanted to hear what you guys said first before I added. I know in the past that we've had other buildings that we've had a similar situation where there was a large portion of it that was existing in a certain material, and when there was an addition made from an aesthetic look to it, it didn't seem to match and it seemed to make it worse. And I mean, we've seen that on a large scale, and I've seen it on a small scale. So with what's there, I think it would look better than what was originally proposed and should have been done. Having said that, I understand staff's, concerned as far as visibility to Weekly in particular here. Is there any opportunity to add some type of landscape screening to what we're looking at here?
I mean, I think certainly you have room, as you can kind of see, especially in this particular angle, you got this fence partially hiding it, but you have an area in between there that's not. I think there's certainly an opportunity to add some landscape in there that might, if it doesn't necessarily hide it, at least kind of breaks it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Some sort of evergreen, tree of some type or something like that to kind of break it up. And I think that would certainly be, if we're going to keep, I can certainly see where everybody's come from as far as consistency in the view there. I think, but adding some as an alternative there, since this is a new building, just to think about other projects and different things that may be coming down the pike. I want to be sure we try to be as consistent as we can too.
Right.
And that maybe as an alternative, having some landscaping there.
Okay.
Might
Well,
not be a bad.
There's a
yeah.
pretty good sized alleyway or parking lot between those two structures anyway.
There
So
is.
there's definitely room to do
There's-
some
there's
landscaping
room, sure.
to shield it a little bit.
And I guess that was my thought here, that I would think that would be a fair compromise as far as what's,
Yeah.
keeping in spirit that this is traditionally been an industrial area, and then when you look at what use is happening there, the exterior and the building materials and as a total are certainly in keeping with that. But again, in keeping with what we're trying to achieve from an aesthetic and a design review, perspective, and I guess it would be more aesthetic, would be, to add some type of requirement for some, evergreen type trees or plants or whatever you want to call them, to kind of finish that off.
And I do think we'll have to, I think you can kind of see it a little bit. I think there's some power lines or something in there, so we'll have to be sure we're cognizant of
Right.
multi electric requirements, certainly as far as how tall those things could be, but at least you could still kind of break it up.
So we could lean on you guys to make sure that gets done right.
Sure.
If the motion was so inclined to include that. Okay? So let's talk about if there's a motion. So basically, Jeff, the motion would be either, well, I'm going to just throw it out here. Is the motion or a proper motion in this to allow the building to remain as is
That's what I would-
without any changes?
I think that's the easiest application.
Yeah,
That, and then if you want to add the landscaping requirement, and really, you're amending the approved site plan that's already been approved. So I think maybe the motion is to amend the approval
approved site plan.
to allow for the metal to be utilized, and then add the landscaping requirement, if that's what you still want to do.
As seen fit by
Right,
staff.
right.
Okay. All right, anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
We just say we make that motion?
Okay,
Okay,
If
so
that's-
we'll, motion to approve.
To amend.
Motion to amend the approved site plan and then add landscaping as we described, subject to staff approval. Yeah.
We good, Counselor?
Yes,
You
you're
got it.
saying as is, as the building currently is as well.
That's
Okay.
building currently is.
Do I have a second?
Second.
That was easy. I have a motion and a second to amend the site plan as described. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. All right, great discussion, everyone. All right, so now we are on to, unless Kevin tells me no, the November bond review report.
that is correct. And so we did, per the planning commission's request, we did ask for more information, additional information than what we had been getting. We did kind of lean on the developers to give us a little more information, and we were somewhat successful, not across the board successful, but we did have some more information. The first two are Wood Point, Section 1 and 2, same developer, same everything. My contact there evidently no longer works there, and so I reached out to the different person. They were going to say, yeah, I'll get the correct person to call you, but they never did. So these are completely built out. This is the American Homes for Rent development that was done. We do still got the need to finish the roads, and there's several things that need to be done there. So we would want to recommend an extension there. We have had these for a couple of years now. I would recommend, at this point, it's getting a little too late to finish probably this time of year anyway. Get 6 more months and see where we are in 6 months.
Did anyone ever respond to your calls?
They did not. I talked to someone. What I did is I basically just found a different number and contacted, and I could tell from talking to this person, this was not someone that could really answer any of my questions. And she said, I will get with my supervisor and have someone, the right person will call you. And I never did hear
Okay.
back from anybody, so.
Well, let's keep this one on a tight
Yeah.
rope then.
So is it a requirement to go in 6-month increments?
There's not a requirement to go in 6-month increments. That's typically what we have done. We have done some 3-month increments in the past too. And there's no, and my thinking on this right now, this is a November expiration. If we extend it to February, they're not going to be able to pave any streets or anything really by then anyway. With the asphalt plants are gonna be shutting down soon and that sort of thing, so
Okay,
that's why I'm recommending 6 months on that.
okay, understood.
Burton Farm, Section 6, did not hear back prior to the packets going out, but in that intervening time, I did hear from Mr. Waldron on that one. They say they are hopeful to be finished, they're ready to be finished in there, I believe. And he said, we should be able to complete this next spring, and that's kind of their plan, is to complete this next spring. They are getting close, they're not completely built out yet, but they are getting close, and so so we recommend a 6-month extension there to give them that opportunity to finish that up in the spring. Amberton, I did, again, that contact has left that company as well. I did hear back, and we've been kind of playing phone tag with someone else on that one. That is actually the end of their maintenance period on that one. The last message I had from the new contact is they're wanting to finish that up. So I feel like it expires on the 28th. That is an escrow account. I'm good with releasing that one, even if it has to go a month or two in. We may be getting, I feel like they're going to be getting ready to finish that one up. So I feel like they will, but if they don't, we will need to keep that one for a little bit longer. But I do think that one is getting close to being finished and finalizing everything there. Cedar Hill, Section 1, Phase 1 and 2. This is one where I did get a lot more information than I typically do regarding from that developer. They have actually finished, or they've said they finished. I had still to get confirmation from the inspectors from comments basically 1 and 3 on their punch list, which is on your list there, and are hoping to finish up. I need to schedule an inspection on item 2, and then 4 he needs some clarification. Item 5 is regarding to mill and patch Morton Lane. They're expecting to do that in the spring. As-built are in progress, but there's got to do some cleanup work on the detention ponds, so they're waiting till that gets done. This is the end of their maintenance period. They are looking at still being in spring probably before they finish. And so I would recommend a 6-month extension on this one to allow them time to finish that up. They do appear to be on top of things and trying to finish that one up. So, Smyrna Airport Business Park, this is a pretty large bond. It was a water sewer bond. They are basically finished. Just a couple of punch list items. We would recommend a reduction of that one to $50,000, extended 1 year as their maintenance bond. Buckingham, Section 1. This is one where the developer says he's actively working in that punch list. If this is the end of the maintenance period on that one, if he's able to finish that by then, I'd certainly be willing to release that one. But again, because of the time of the year, I would want to extend it if he's not. Blakeney, Section 1, Phase 2, this is one I did, they did ask, we did talk with them, and they did request a 6-month extension on there because of some of the construction traffic that's coming through other phases. They estimate they'll get started towards the end of the year and be completed early next year for that one. Again, that's another one where they received more information than I have been. Cedar Park, this is one that's a 6-lot commercial development there. Two of those lots are, one's completed, one's under construction. Did hear from the developer on that in the intervening time since your packets were delivered. They're hoping to close on a 3rd lot by the end of December, and they would ask that they be extended and they want to complete construction after they get the 4th building. So it may be a while before that 4th building is built. So that's what they have requested. Again, I'm okay with a 6-month extension there on that one. I told him that they may have to, verbally told him that he may have to look at doing something a little quicker than that. But I'm okay with 6 months, again, to get him to the spring. And then the last one is Buckingham Place, Section 3. Developers, again, they are actively working on the punch list. They've installed some of the sidewalks. It's scheduled to be paved by the asphalt company at the same time that Oak Meadows will have the binder put down, and they're hoping to do that fairly soon. So I would recommend, if the final topping is completed by December 10th, I don't know if that'll happen or not, but if it does, we can reduce that when extended as their maintenance bond. Otherwise, just extend it 6 months at the same amount. So that's the bond report.
Okay, any other questions or discussion concerning the bond report? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the bond report.
I have a motion to approve the bond report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Other discussion? All those in favor of approving the bond review report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The review report is approved. Staff comments.
Don't have anything else?
Catherine, anything tonight?
No.
Jeff?
Nothing from me, sir.
Anything from the commission? We stand adjourned.